I'm not doing it.
One with the
I am not doing that. I just had yoga.
You're relaxed.
Joe Dixon is here and Joe Rocha. They are both stand-up comics and working together in September, and they're promoting their little show.
Yeah, it's called Joseph Rocha Presents. It'll be at Club 1011 on 171 Avenue C. We got some very funny comics. People like Jordan Carlos, Debbie Shea, Dustin Chafin. These are all people who have been all over television, and are not only are they friends, but they're very talented comedians. In addition to Joe Dixon himself, and to my own self, I don't want to think because I call it Joe Rocha Presents that it's actually that I'm popular or anything. It's just my way of just being megalomaniacal. I just like say Joseph Rocha Presents.
Are you working in front of a curtain, or do you have behind you that brick wall?
Nope, we'll have a curtain.
Yeah, because that brick wall is pretty famous.
That's right. It's a cliche at this point.
It's the Improv.
It's the Improv, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh God, you must have been able to go to that club back in the day. Right?
Yeah, well, back in the day, there was everybody. Larry David and Seinfeld, of course.
Now, you saw Larry David live, actually?
Yeah.
Now, I always heard that it was a love or hate thing with him in the audience. Either they absolutely loved him or they hated him.
Very
what
much
was your
like
experience?
you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone loves me. That's the weird
right.
part.
That's not fair. No one loves it.
No one loves me.
Well, there were several comics like that, throughout history. There was Andy Kaufman. You know that routine. He was just flipped out and nuts. Lenny Bruce, at one time, he did whatever he wanted to do and said what he wanted to say. And if you got in his way, you would feel the wrath. And the same with Larry David. Larry sized up the temperature of the room. But, more impressively was for non-comics to do that. Phil Spector got on a plane in the 60s, and he was a sinister-looking guy back then.
Sure.
I mean, he shot the stewardess.
Well, he hasn't really been charged with shooting anybody. But the stewardess probably shot herself while he was looking.
Okay.
Anyway, he was wearing a cape and a very strange-looking guy, sinister, all black, all dark clothes.
I just saw the opening sequence to Easy Rider recently, where he plays the guy who buys the cocaine from Peter Fonda.
Yeah, he was very weird.
Yeah, for such a short, nebbishy-looking guy, there is an edge that comes off of him that shows you, you don't have to be some big 100,000-pound guy with big muscles to be sinister. There's something about him that you go, wow.
Well, to tie this up with what we're talking about, when he got on a flight on American Airlines to go to Los Angeles from New York, he looked around the plane, and back in those days, which was not terrorism days, it was very difficult for a person to... people were afraid of flying a lot more back in those days. So Phil looked around, he got up, and he said, "This is typical crash victims. I'm not going to be on this flight." And he got up and walked off the plane, and half a dozen people followed him in fear.
Wow.
So he was banned from flights for a while. Now, that's very much like Larry David or Andy Kaufman or those guys did. They would get up and make a statement, and people would be influenced by them. And they would do it to get your attention.
By the way, I love the phrase terrorism days. That sounds like the worst holiday weekend possible. Come on down to the terrorism days. Yeah, exactly.
Half price off.
Exactly. Yeah, well, the field across the board was wide open back then, right? Comedy was wide open. You can be a little different, there wasn't this glut of people-pleasing goofballs trying to get out their sitcom. Those guys just did it because they were oddballs. They had a voice, and they had something to say. And a guy like Phil Spector, for all his sinister background, genius, right? Created some of the best pop music ever. And so, yeah, he was insane, but he also was sparked by genius.
Well, that's the point. So you go to Larry David, he was a little crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we're saying. He did what he wanted to do, and he would make a statement and get up and pee on the audience. That's the way it was.
That's his closer.
It's very funny because Phil Spector created the wall of sound, and Joe Dixon the wall of silence.
Yeah.
The wall of awkwardness.
Thank you.
Now, the stand-up that you guys both do, are you doing politics?
I don't do politics. Joe does tend to do politics.
I do a little bit of politics.
Like what? What do you talk about? Are you talking about who's running for office? Talk about Hillary?
I do talk about Hillary. Hillary, you a fan?
It doesn't matter.
I am. I think she's going to do great. I think she's actually going to get...
I think Joey wants to be invited to the party.
I think she's going to get more black votes than Barack Obama.
Why?
Because she's
a hot white woman. Hello.
Exactly. The Clintons in general are just very popular with black people. The only way I think Hillary Clinton could get more black votes is if she actually adopted Arnold, Willis, and Webster.
That's right. That's right, absolutely. I think that'd be a good move, actually. And I think Gary Goldman wants to work.
Gary who?
Gary Coleman.
Oh, Coleman. I thought it was Goldman.
Yeah.
Like, who are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure Gary Goldman also.
Gary Goldman as well needs work. That's true. He does need work.
Just made him very Jewish.
The only political joke I rarely do is the one about how George Bush was quoted that they asked him, "What do you think of when you face a difficult situation?" He goes, I love the fact that there's 6 million people out there who pray for me. He got it wrong, though. It's 6 million people who pray because of him. That's why they're praying. That's the only reason. Joe Dixon hates that joke, everybody.
All right, so Joe,
I don't.
So Joe, you like Hillary, is what you're saying.
I do like
right?
Hillary. I do. Have you been following the these ads that they want to run with the shoulder with the W amputee?